Deadpool and Wolverine. Finally saw it, so I'll give my 2 cents on it. Um, I thought it was awesome. I really thought this movie was incredibly funny, pretty good action. Not the best comic book action I've ever seen, but uh, pretty good. A lot of fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, and then the end fight. But yeah, I really liked it. I've liked all three Deadpool movies now. I have to go back and watch one and two, but I think I like this one the best because of Wolverine. I think him and Ryan Reynolds have a good back and forth, good chemistry. I hope they do another one. As of right now, this movie's made like 1.05 billion. So it's gonna hit 1.1. Hopefully, it makes even more because I'd like to see a Deadpool 4 with Wolverine again. So yeah, these movies are all directed by different people. Apparently, they wanted to get the Deadpool 2 director, but he was busy making The Fall Guy, which I also like that movie, but this movie's better, I'd say. Um, Now, Sean Levy directed this one. I know some people have complained that they don't really think the direction's that great in this movie. I thought it was fine. I mean, yeah, I probably would have preferred Deadpool 2 director because a bunch of Sean Levy movies I'm just not into. I haven't seen Free Guy. Apparently, that's an okay movie, and he's worked with Hugh Jackman before and Ryan Reynolds as in Free Guy, so maybe that's why they went with him. But I thought he did a okay job. I didn't have many complaints. You know, there's maybe a little bit of shaky cam at the end fight, or I mean the fight in the middle. Um, but it didn't really annoy me. I thought it was done okay. So overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it was hilarious. The Madonna music at the end, that's like a perfect touch. It's just so funny. There's some great jokes in this movie. So yeah, I probably would put it as the best Deadpool movie. But I'm gonna get into spoilers now. Um, so so basically, Deadpool is trying to get into the MCU, and he does an interview with what's that guy's name? Happy Hogan, and Iron Man's driver. Now he's his top of security or whatever. It's a pretty funny scene. Deadpool's like, "Where's Captain America?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't do it in interviews." Um, this movie just proves that Ryan Reynolds was like born to play Deadpool. Like, no one else could have done it really, and um, I'm just glad that we got these three movies because it's definitely my kind of comic book movie. Um, because I like when comic book movies they do take themselves seriously, but if you're gonna make fun, if you're gonna have a bunch of jokes and just be ridiculous, like this is the way to do it in my opinion. Because it's just Deadpool doesn't take anything seriously, so that's kind of baked into the cake, and um, I think that's why I can really enjoy these is because it's like the whole point of them. Whereas sometimes comic book movies, sometimes they try and be serious, and also then they try and have some wackiness. But this is just all ridiculousness. But I will say that Hugh Jackman is a great actor. I've always thought that. He knows the character of Wolverine. Um, and there's some emotional scenes with him in this about what happened in his world. because this movie does. I mean, there are some fans complaining because in the beginning of the movie, Deadpool goes to Logan's grave in the movie Logan. Spoilers: he dies in the end, and he exhumes his body, and then these guys show up, and they're from the TVA. I don't know. They were introduced in the Loki show apparently, and they're like almost like time cops, like Time Cop the movie. Um, but yeah, they were introduced in the Loki show. I haven't seen it, but they show up and he fights them with Wolverine's bones, and he puts his claws on him, so then he has the claws. I could see people they're like, "Oh, this is insulting to Logan." You know, do you have to do that to his grave? But I can understand that complaint. At the time, I was kind of like, "Yeah, I don't know about that," but I don't know. It didn't bother me that much. I mean, it's just part of the Deadpool. Like no reverence. Just total everything's a joke. So he kind of makes that into a joke, but there apparently are some Wolverine fans who are pissed off, which I can understand, but it just didn't bother me that much. So there's a pretty good action scene there. There wasn't really any shaky cam there. Um and then he fights them. He's trying to go around and get Wolverines because he's an anchor being, and they're going to end Deadpool's world, and they're going to end basically the Fox universe. And he's gonna try and get Wolverine to go into that universe to be an anchor being to save the universe from extinction. So Deadpool is offered a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Time Variance Authority, TVA. What are they? The intergalactic TSA, but instead recruits a variant of Wolverine to save his universe from extinction. So yeah, he's going throughout all these different universes to get a Wolverine. I've there's a bunch of comic book references that I'm really not familiar with, but apparently one was when he was a Horseman of the Apocalypse. I think that's the one where he's got like the big hair and he's wearing all like in black, and I think one of his arms is cut off. And he's one of the Horsemen for the Apocalypse. So he goes there, it doesn't work out. The guy, like a bunch of them, just try and kill him. So then he just leaves. It's pretty funny when he goes to the one where Wolverine is comic accurate and very little. That one was pretty funny. I did like how there was Henry Cavill's in this for like 5 seconds, where he goes to one and it's Henry Cavill as Wolverine, which could work maybe. But and I like how he's like, oh, a Cavalrine. So, and he's like, hey, come over to our universe. We'll treat you way better than they did down the street. Thought that was hilarious because, yeah, DC totally screwed over Henry Cavill in my opinion. They should have given him another Superman movie, even just one more, but no, they didn't. And then now it's all rebooted, and James Gunn is going to make one, so hopefully that's good. But um, so then he finally gets to the one that is in this movie, and he's a variant, so he's not Logan. So it doesn't undo that movie, which I thought was a smart way to do it. And this Wolverine's like a broken man because, as explained later, in a really nice scene between him and is it X-23? Is that her name? The girl that was in Logan. Anyways, they kept wanting him to be part of the X-Men. He, would kind of like go on some missions and stuff, but he never wanted to commit. They always wanted him to wear the suit, the yellow suit, which he wears in this. He he always told them that they looked ridiculous, which is with there's some really smart humor in this because that's like a joke about how in the first X-Men, people were pissed that they're in the black leather suits. I think like Bryan Singer said, well, they would look ridiculous if we didn't do that. So 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 they they never get their comic accurate suits in any of the first three. And then later in Apocalypse they kind of get more comic accurate, but I never actually saw that movie, so I think the last Fox movie I saw was uh Days of Futures Past, which I really like that movie. And then Logan, I saw Logan. So I think those are the last ones I saw. I never saw Apocalypse. And was there one more after that? Oh yeah, New Mutants. I still haven't seen that. I've actually been meaning to watch that. But so they always want him to wear the yellow suit, but he doesn't really want to. And then one night, he goes out, he gets really drunk at a bar, and then he said he came back, and that was the night that a bunch of humans came to Professor X's compound and they murdered all of them. Now it is kind of like, can a bunch of humans even murder all of them? But I guess if there's enough of them that they could, because I've heard some complaints about that doesn't really make that much sense. But I don't know. He has to have an explanation. So I thought that was a decent one. It gives him an arc because he says he's the worst Wolverine out of all of them, out of all the different variants, which I thought was funny. So it gives him an arc, and when he explains it to X-23, I thought it was a really emotional scene and done very well. So he's kind of the emotional core in the movie, which I thought was smart because Deadpool is so irreverent, and Deadpool has his emotional core with his wife, which they're actually broken up in this movie, and then at the end there's kind of hints that they're getting back together. I thought that was kind of odd, because as far as I remember, they weren't broken up in the second one, right? I don't think so. I thought that was kind of like a strange choice, but then I guess it's like, they don't really want anyone else in the movie except for Deadpool and Wolverine, so I can kind of understand that, I guess, because like his family is kind of in the beginning and the end, and that's why Deadpool wants to save this world too, is because they're all part of his family. And by the end, basically Wolverine becomes part of his family, which I thought was a nice touch. So, um, but but the guys at the TVA, he wants to destroy that world, so he kind of laughs when he brings in Wolverine. He's like totally drunk. He falls on the ground. He sends them to the void, which is where all the cinematic universes go to die. So he's basically like, okay, well then screw you. You're not going to let this what lack of better words, the Fox universe die. So he sends him and Wolverine to the void. I thought that was hilarious when they fell down into the void. Right behind them is the giant 20th Century Fox logo. I thought that was great. And the void it's kind of funny because they're kind of almost like spoofing Mad Max a little bit, which I thought was funny. There's even a Furiosa joke in there. Um, and this is when the movie really starts to get going, I say, because they encounter Chris Evans. I thought that was hilarious. At first, everyone thinks he's Captain America, but no, he's actually the Human Torch. He has a quick fight with Pyro, who basically extinguishes all of his flame. And I was thinking, I was like, who would win in a fight, him or Pyro? But I don't know. I would think the Human Torch, but I guess if you're flying and you extinguish all of his flame and then he falls down, gets knocked out. So I guess that makes sense. I like that Pyro was in this too. I always liked that actor. He's in, he has a nice role in X-Men 2. I think he's in X-Men 3 a little bit. He's one of Magneto's henchmen, but X-Men 3 is just a total mess. So I really don't like that movie. I think X-Men 2 is a great comic book movie. So it's nice to see Pyro. And this is when he encounters other people like Sabretooth, the Sabretooth that was in the first X-Men movie. Toad is in this. Which I wonder if that's actually played by the same actor. Because that actor was also Darth Maul. He's like a martial artist, but that guy was kind of canceled a few years ago. But I think it's him though. So and then there's a quick fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth. That was hilarious. Deadpool's he's like, oh, we've been waiting for this forever. And that is a negative I'd say about that part is I wish that fight went on a little bit longer. I mean, I know it's a joke, like, oh, Wolverine would totally kick Sabretooth's ass, but I don't know. I was like, could have gone on a little bit longer, like at least a minute or two, but they just run at each other. Wolverine cuts his head off. So it's kind of funny, but I don't know. Wish it went on longer. And basically, then they're captured and they're taken to Cassandra Nova, who is the twin sister of Professor X. Which I'm not an expert in the comic books, but so I don't know if that's in the comic books. It probably is, but it's just probably like a one shot or something. But she's basically the villain of the movie. I mean, Mr. Paradox is kind of the sub villain. He kind of sets it all up, but she's the one that actually is a mutant and has powers. So they're taken to her. I thought she was an okay villain. I mean, I do wish it was Professor X, maybe like a variant of Professor X when he's evil or something. Because at first they're like, "Oh, it's Professor X," and then no, it's her, this like bald-headed lady. She was okay. I didn't think was amazing. The movie doesn't have amazing villains, I'd say, because it's mainly just about Deadpool and Wolverine. So I can kind of understand that, but um, and then I thought that was so hilarious that Deadpool pretty much gets the Human Torch killed. Because earlier he was talking shit on Cassandra Nova, and then Deadpool just tells her like what he said, and then he's like, no, I didn't say it, and then she like rips all of his skin off, drops to the ground dead, and I like how Hugh Jackman's like, you just got him killed, and he pretty much did. And that was a funny joke throughout the movie, how Deadpool's like, it's like the lies that I got Johnny Storm killed. And it's like, you totally did get Johnny Storm killed. But yeah, and then they're able to escape. And then one of my favorite parts of the movie, which only it was partially spoiled, but Blade shows up, which I thought was awesome. Big fan of the first Blade movie. Think it's totally underrated. Wesley Snipes is amazing as Blade. I mean, I like Blade 2 also. I know a lot of people like the second Blade more because it's Guillermo del Toro. I just think the first one's like a much better movie. The second movie's okay. I think it's all right. I'm just not sure I'm in love with the whole that thing where Blade allies with he's an ally with the vampires to take down super vampires basically. I don't know. I'd rather just have Blade fighting vampires, but Anyways, I'm a big fan of the first movie. The third movie is terrible. So when Blade walked out, I was like, oh shit. Um, this movie just got even better for me. So I thought that was awesome that Blade's in it. He doesn't have his katana though. Apparently, it was some legal thing. He has like these like short swords. It's too bad they couldn't have the katana, but apparently it was some legal thing. Like I guess that he can't officially be from that movie, or I don't know. I don't really understand it, but it was some legal BS. But he has these like short swords, and um, I thought he looks like he's looks pretty good for he's like 62. Um, I want a Blade 4 movie. I think they could totally do it. Apparently, the Blade movie they've been trying to make since 2019 is just in like development hell. I think multiple directors have left. I don't understand how hard it is to make a damn Blade movie, but apparently, I heard that um he wasn't even gonna maybe be the star of the movie. I don't even know. There's a bunch of rumors about that movie. Not sure if they're true, but it just seems like why can't you just write a Blade movie? I don't understand that. So just make Blade 4 with Wesley Snipes. Like he can still move. Like he still got it. And if they did a Blade 4 movie, he'd probably get even into better shape. But that's what I want. I want a Blade 4 movie, and I want another Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I mean, why not? This movie made over $1 billion. Make another one in a couple years. You probably make a bunch of money there too. So, but so Blade comes out. Channing Tatum as Gambit, which I thought was funny. Which some people may not understand that reference because he's like I was a hero that never was, because he was hired to be Gambit. I think they announced it at Comic-Con, and then soon after, they were going to make a Gambit movie, his own movie, but then Fox was bought by Disney, so that never happened. So it's kind of cool. You get to see Channing Tatum play Gambit. I thought he did a good job with the accent, the Louisiana accent. Deadpool can't really understand him sometimes. There's some good jokes there. I thought that was funny. Elektra comes out too, which is a funny joke. He's like, "And you are Wonder," and then she's like, "Elektra." It's like, "Oh yeah, of course. Who could forget?" Like, kind of insulting her movie because that movie is bad. But she's also in the Daredevil movie, and if you haven't seen the Daredevil movie, watch the director's cut. It's actually a decent movie. Like, it's not amazing, but it's a decent movie. Apparently, they wanted to get Ben Affleck to come back as Daredevil, but he just didn't want to do it. Like, he really doesn't like that movie. Apparently, it's too bad. I guess it was just a bad experience, and then they never made a sequel, and so I can understand that, I guess. Um, and Elektra is his ex-wife, but apparently they're still really good friends. So I don't know, but yeah, so you got Elektra, you got Blade, you have Gambit, and then X-23 comes down from Logan. It's nice she's in this too. She has some good scenes with Wolverine, even though it's not Logan from that movie, so they really don't know each other. But I thought the scene with them by the fire when he's all getting drunk and he explains what happened to Professor X, and um, I thought there was some really good emotion there between them two. You know, so definitely that injects grounds the movie a little bit, which I think was needed. And the movie kind of slows down there because right after that they're about to have a huge action scene, and then which leads to an even a bigger action scene. So I thought that was nice. and they're basically all gonna go fight Cassandra Nova, and Wolverine's like, oh, well, I'm not going. He's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna get drunk, and then they're in in the van, and they all show up, and then Wolverine comes out of the back of the van. So of course I was like, of course he's gonna come, and he did. Um, and then there's a fight between, there's Juggernaut, which they want to get Juggernaut's helmet because it's like Magneto's helmet. They could put it on Cassandra Nova to block her powers. Because as explained earlier, Magneto's dead. I thought that was funny. And they're like, because Deadpool's like, well, who else do we got? And he's like, please say Magneto. And they're like, yeah, he's dead. He's like, damn. He's like, come on, Disney, you're gonna go cheap on me now. That was also a hilarious line about Johnny Storm when when he died. He's like, we're all grieving. He's like, but you have no idea what he was doing to the budget because it's Chris Evans. He's probably not cheap. So just some great meta humor in this movie that is just like, it's almost like just done perfectly in my opinion. Um, so yeah, so then that fight happens. I thought that was a decent fight. There is some shaky cam there, but I enjoyed it. You get to see Blade throw down again. Gambit, he creates his staff. He's throwing his cards. Elektra and X-23 are throwing down. I mean, there is some shaky cam there. So, but overall, like I said, I think Sean Levy, I think he did an okay job. I mean, heck, this is my favorite Deadpool movie, so how much can I complain about it? Um, and then they basically do defeat Cassandra Nova, and they get put back in the world, which is going to be destroyed. Um, I liked how Peter was in this too. The guy who plays Peter from Deadpool 1 and 2. In the beginning of this movie, him and Ryan Reynolds like are working at CarMax, basically selling cars. They just have really good chemistry, I think. The guy that plays Peter and Ryan Reynolds, and it was nice to see him. And then he shows up at the end too in a pretty funny scene. Um, so they go back to that world, and then all of a sudden, what also comes out of the portal is a bunch of different Deadpools. And then earlier, they met a Deadpool that was uh like the good looking Deadpool, and it's Ryan Reynolds, and he's got this long hair. And they meet this little dog who apparently was voted the ugliest dog in Britain years ago, and that I think that's the same dog. So I thought that was kind of funny. Um, and then there's another giant action scene between him and all the Deadpools. And even earlier, there's another action scene when they're in the car because Wolverine gets angry at Deadpool because Deadpool says that I could save your universe, or I can bring back all those people that died, like Professor X and everything, because he blames himself for their death. And then he's like, I probably can. So he's like, so you lied to me. And he's like, oh, I forget what he says. He's like, it wasn't much of a lie, but a wish. Interesting fight scene there because it's all in a minivan. I thought that was kind of cool because I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And Wolverine's just like pummeling him with his claws, Deadpool shooting at him. I thought it was a nice little action scene. It was different at least. So, so there's probably like what, one, two, three, four. There's probably like a good five solid action scenes in this. So not much complaints there. I mean, I think that's a good enough number. Five. I mean, the movie's like 2 hours long. So, because again, some people are complaining they didn't really think the action was that good, but It's not the greatest comic book action I've ever seen on screen, but I thought it was okay. And then there's the last one where a bunch of Deadpools come out. You know, there's like a Western Deadpool, there's like a samurai Deadpool, there's like a baby Deadpool. There's a female Deadpool who is apparently played by Blake Lively, you know, Ryan Reynolds' wife. And then I think Kidpool is played by their little kid. So pretty funny scene there. Um, when they all come out, and then the good looking Deadpool, who's Ryan Reynolds with the long hair, he uses him as a human shield, and then he realizes that he doesn't have the healing factors like him and Wolverine have. And then he's like, I thought that was just funny. He's using him as a human shield, tons of bullets going into him. He's like bleeding, and he's like, "You will live. You're going to live. Say it." And then of course, you know, he just dies. I think his head gets blown away, and he's like, "Oh well." So then they all fight all the Deadpools. Pretty good action scene there. Um, I liked how that was filmed. It was just like slowly panning across the screen with Deadpool and Wolverine fighting all of them. And then they realize that they all have the healing factors. So they all have it except for one Deadpool. That guy kind of got the short end of the stick, if you ask me. But um, yeah, and then they all get up, and he's like, "Damn it, we don't have time for this." Um, and then they make their way to Doctor Mr. Paradox, and he's basically like, you know, this world's going to end. There's this machine that Cassandra Nova has now infiltrated with her powers, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there's this thing about, I think it's matter and antimatter, and the only way to stop it is to make them connect. But whatever makes them connect will be destroyed. So Deadpool's going to try and hold the two to make them connect to stop her. He can't reach the other side. He locks Wolverine out of the room. Wolverine, of course, breaks into the room, and both of them have to hold hands and then connect the matter and antimatter. Hilarious scene. You have the Madonna song playing. I thought that was just like perfect. Um, so so yeah, and then they save the world. They destroy Cassandra Nova, and everyone thinks that they're dead, but of course they're not dead. And then Ryan Reynolds is like something like, "Oh, that could destroy like like that could destroy one person with healing factors." He's like, "But two?" He's like, "No, so we survived because they both have the healing factors." So I thought that was funny. Peter comes in and is basically like, you know, no, Deadpool is part of this world, so don't send him back to the void. And Wolverine is too. So Wolverine gets to stay, and then at the end, basically he becomes part of Deadpool's family. So he isn't just, out by himself, all sad, just being lonely. And even X-23 is there, so she's taken out of the void. Uh, I was kind of like, so what happened to Blade and Gambit and Elektra? Like, why aren't they there? But X-23's there, so I thought that was a little strange. It's like, why can't we just have Blade, Gambit, and Elektra there too at the end? But and then Ryan Reynolds starts talking to his ex-wife. So I thought that was weird. Like, why do they have to have broken up? Marina Baccarin, Vanessa. So So it kind of hints that they're gonna get back together, but I just thought that was just kind of like manufactured drama almost. So I have a few complaints about the movie, but in the end, I thought it was a great movie. There's some great jokes showing the Fox logo in the void. Oh yeah, and then when Deadpool is getting all of his gear together, and then the tailor keeps like smacking his ass. I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious. He keeps like grabbing him and smacking his ass, and then when he comes out of there and he says to Mr. Paradox, he's like a great tailor, but I think he may be a but what does he say? Great tailor, but I think he may be a predator. I don't know why. I just thought that was hilarious. And then when like he realizes that the Fox universe is over, he's like screw you Fox. I'm gonna go to Disneyland, and he like grabs the camera and like and a microphone. I thought that was hilarious. Oh yeah, and then him with Gambit. When he's talking, you can't really understand him, and he's like been a while since I saw Sling Blade. Like a knock about how he talked, and which is funny because I just reviewed Sling Blade, which is a great movie. But um, yeah, I think that's about it. If you could do me a favor and smash that like button, that'd be great. It really helps the channel. Um, I don't have many complaints. Hopefully, the MCU movies continue to be, to get better. I haven't seen a lot of the recent ones, but I did see the Eternals, and man, that was boring. That is an incredibly boring movie, which apparently they just canceled the sequel to it. So probably a good thing because that movie was terrible. So, um, but yeah, I haven't seen Miss Marvel. I haven't seen Shang Chi. Yeah, but I don't know. I heard that they just weren't that great of movies. So, and now you have what's the next one? Captain America: Brave New World. Hopefully it's good, but it's kind of like Captain America without Chris Evans. I'm not sure about that, but anyways, for this movie, I just have a few complaints about it. Nothing major, really. I just thought it was hilarious with some good emotion in there as well, mainly from Hugh Jackman. So, but yeah, that's about it. Deadpool Wolverine. Hopefully they make a fourth one and a fourth Blade movie also. So, but that's about it. I'll see you next time.